All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today we're going to decode the absolutely chaotic, highly fragmented audio transcript of the Lost Island incident. Now, if you've ever looked at the raw data for this event, you know it reads way less like a traditional story and a lot more like a frantic SOS signal. I mean, it is just this intense barrage of repeated words, panicked questions, and completely broken sentences. But as we're going to see today, right beneath that surface-level static lies a brilliantly structured narrative. We're talking survival, betrayal, and a massive sci-fi conspiracy. So by breaking this all down, we're going to reconstruct exactly what happened to Hannah Keller on that island.
Now, to really wrap our heads around the mystery we're unpacking today, we actually need to start right at the climax. Listen to this chilling military rescue broadcast. Hannah Keller, we're coming for you. Is Subject 17 with you? Just like that, in a fraction of a second, the entire context of the transcript completely flips. We realize this isn't just some random woman who got lost in the wilderness. No, she is a known asset, and she's being tracked by a highly organized tactical team. But more importantly, they are looking for a very specific entity designated only as Subject 17. To figure out who or what Subject 17 actually is, we have to rewind the tape.
Part 1. Surviving the extreme heat. Decoding the sensory chaos. Let's back up to the very beginning of the transcript so we can decode the completely overwhelming environment Hannah first encounters. So think about this number for a second. 56. What's absolutely fascinating here is the sheer volume of repetition. The word heat is repeated exactly 56 times in the source transcript. I mean, 56 times in just a matter of minutes. This repetition basically acts as a predatory sensory mechanic. It perfectly reflects that oppressive, suffocating jungle environment that is constantly just bearing down on our protagonist. It's almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat, or maybe even mimicking the panting of something tracking her through the brush. It just immediately immerses us in her overwhelming physical exhaustion. Who are you? Let me go. Put me down. No, no. This rapid-fire snippet right here perfectly captures Hannah's pure, frantic disorientation during the initial capture. Notice how fragmented the syntax is. There's literally no time for full sentences or rational thought here. She's fallen, she's boiling in the extreme heat, and suddenly she is just swept up by this totally unknown force. The raw, unfiltered panic in this text gives us a really direct window into the primal fear of being hunted.
Which brings us to Part 2, an unlikely alliance. From hunted to helped. This is where we see the narrative build into an unexpected subversion of the typical monster survival trope.
Okay, so the absolutely crucial point is this exact moment of realization, where the reptilian humanoid shifts from being a terrifying hunter to an active protector. Right after she begs to be put down, the whole narrative pivots. The creature reassures her and she asks, "Why are you helping me?" This completely recontextualizes the initial capture. He wasn't grabbing her to hurt her, he was snatching her out of harm's way. And that forces us, as the audience, to immediately drop all our preconceived prejudices about this creature.
If we break down the dialogue that immediately follows, we see this incredible evolution of trust. Despite the broken English and the obvious underlying panic, we can trace a surprisingly clear logical progression. First up, identification. She gives her name, essentially humanizing herself to the creature. Second, formulating a timeline. They actually negotiate a plan. Tomorrow you take me. They're establishing shared goals. And finally, navigating danger together as a team. Jump, will die. In just a handful of lines, they go all the way from predator and prey to codependent survivors. It's wild.
Jump, will die. Heat up here. Heat, 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 heat. Come on, it's this way.
This disjointed dialogue paints such a vivid picture of the environmental obstacles they're facing while trying to navigate the island's extreme terrain. That rhythmic chant of heat, heat, heat returns, reminding us that the environment itself is actively trying to kill them. But notice that new addition. Come on, it's this way. The creature is actively guiding her. He's navigating this deadly topography specifically to keep her safe. It's essentially a high-stakes escort mission, but rendered entirely through panicked whispers and environmental hazards.
Moving into Part 3. The Subject 17 extraction, the chilling realization. We are now entering the final, frantic moments where the narrative completely flips from a localized survival horror scenario into a massive sci-fi conspiracy. I want you to notice how the tone shifts in this exact line, because it hints at a really dark, buried realization about Hannah's own past involvement with the island. She doesn't just ask where she is, she says, "I did this." Suddenly, Hannah is no longer just this innocent victim who happened to fall onto a lost island.
That line implies real culpability. Was she part of the team that created the reptilian humanoid? Was she a researcher who wiped her own memory? The dynamic shifts entirely. She might literally be responsible for the very creature that is currently saving her life.
Before we hit the grand finale, let's take a step back and look at the structure of what we've uncovered. If we map out all this chaos, this timeline perfectly reconstructs the events exactly as they occur in linear time. We start with the fall and the sensory overload, then the capture, where our threat response completely peaks. But then, that pivots beautifully into the alliance, which is this moment of profound psychological subversion. And finally, the rescue, which reintroduces the outside world. It really just goes to show that even the most fractured, chaotic source material has a sturdy, underlying architectural skeleton.
And that brings us to the stark, genuinely jarring contrast of the extraction. We see Hana grappling with guilt, memory, and a real emotional connection to her savior. But meanwhile, the military just completely strips all of that away. To them, the creature isn't a savior at all. It's not even a who, it's a what. Subject 17, an asset, an it. They command her to move away from it, entirely dismissing the profound bond that just kept her alive in the jungle.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final puzzle to ponder, based entirely on that cliffhanger extraction dialogue. Think about it. We spent the first half of this transcript absolutely terrified of the creature in the jungle, only to learn that it was actually a protector. But the arrival of the heavily armed rescue team, the supposed good guys, feels infinitely more menacing. So, looking at the evidence we've uncovered today, who is the real threat here? Is it Subject 17, the creature just trying to survive in the extreme heat? Or is it the cold, calculated people hunting it down? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating data with me. And remember to always keep questioning what you read between the lines.